Imagine being wrongfully arrested. You are innocent, yet you find yourself at the mercy of the very system designed to protect you. The fear is palpable. The threat of violence hangs heavy in the air. This was the grim reality for many in India during the 1980s and 1990s. Custodial torture was a stain on the nation's conscience. It was a time when the protectors often turned tormentors. Police brutality was rampant. The stories were horrifying, sending chills down the spines of ordinary citizens. Newspapers frequently reported on deaths in police custody. These were not isolated incidents. The use of torture to extract confessions was a widespread practice. The lack of accountability only emboldened the perpetrators. Police officers often acted with impunity. The existing laws seemed insufficient to deter them. The system seemed to protect the abusers, not the abused. The cries for justice grew louder. Something had to change. This was a time when the very soul of India, a nation founded on the principles of justice and equality, was being tested. In 1996, a glimmer of hope emerged from a tragedy. A man named D.K. Basu wrote a letter to the Supreme Court of India. His letter was a cry for justice, a plea to end the cycle of custodial violence. It was a letter that would change the course of legal history in India. Basu's letter detailed the harrowing custodial death of a man named Ashok Jori in Kolkata. Jori had died while in police custody, allegedly due to severe torture. The letter highlighted the urgent need for safeguards against custodial torture. It called for accountability from law enforcement agencies. The Supreme Court recognized the gravity of the issue. They decided to treat Basu's letter as a public interest litigation. This was a landmark decision. It allowed the court to address a systemic issue. The case of D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal was born. The courtroom became a battleground for fundamental rights. On one side was the might of the state, arguing for its right to maintain law and order. On the other side stood the voice of the people, demanding protection from the very forces meant to protect them. In 1997, the Supreme Court delivered its verdict in the D.K. Basu case. The judgment was a landmark victory for human rights in India. It affirmed the fundamental rights of citizens, even when under arrest. The court recognized that custodial torture was not just a violation of human dignity, but also a threat to the rule of law. The court laid down specific guidelines to prevent custodial torture. The guidelines, now famously known as the D.K. Basu guidelines, were comprehensive. They covered every aspect of arrest and detention. The guidelines were not mere suggestions. They were legally binding directives to all law enforcement agencies in India. Failure to comply with these guidelines could lead to serious consequences, including contempt of court charges. The D.K. Basu case marked a turning point in the fight against custodial torture in India. Section 4. The Basu Guidelines, a shield against custodial torture. The D.K. Basu Guidelines are a set of 11 specific requirements that police officers must follow when making an arrest. These guidelines aim to ensure transparency and accountability throughout the process, minimizing the risk of custodial violence. Here are the key provisions. First, identification of officers. All officers making an arrest must wear clear, visible identification. Second, accurate record keeping. Detailed records of the arrest, including the time, place, and identities of all involved parties, must be maintained. Third, medical examination. The arrestee has the right to be examined by a doctor upon request. Fourth, informing family or friends. The police must inform a designated family member or friend of the arrest and place of detention. Fifth, legal aid. The arrestee has the right to meet with a lawyer. Sixth, magistrate's oversight. The arrested person must be presented before a magistrate within 24 hours. These guidelines are a testament to the power of the judiciary in upholding the rights of citizens. They are a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the flame of justice can never be extinguished. Section 5. Safeguarding your rights, what to do if arrested. The D.K. Basu judgment empowers every citizen with the knowledge of their rights, even in the face of arrest. Here's what you should remember. Stay calm and cooperate. Panicking will not help your situation. Assert your rights. Do not hesitate to remind the officers of the D.K. Basu guidelines. Document everything. Note the officers' names, badge numbers, and the time of arrest. Contact a lawyer. Seek legal counsel immediately. Remember, ignorance is not a defense in the eyes of the law. Your awareness of your rights is your first line of defense. The D.K. Basu judgment stands as a beacon of hope, a reminder that the fight for justice continues.